George, that was incredible. I now remember that I need to read poems. I'm going to ask you to sing. Is that okay?
Sure.
Great. Front row seems fine with it. How about the back? Great. It's simple. It's a word you already know. It just helps warm up the space. And we got a lot to be thankful for and a lot to be grateful toward. And warming up the room is going to help that. It goes like this. If you're right, say you.
You.
Okay. If you're right, say you. Okay, front row, giving a lot of energy. You are in the back. I can see when your mouths don't open, right? I can't see that you're not singing. I can see that you're just staring there looking at me. It's just a figure. If you're right, say yeah. Yeah. Better. If you're right, say yeah. Yeah. And if you're right, say yeah. Yeah. That's the one you can't not do. Look on either side of you. So now you know the face of the person refusing to participate in this exercise. I believe in the public accountability of it all. If you're right, say yeah. Yeah. And if you're right, say yeah. Yeah. Say yeah. Yeah. Say yeah. Yeah. My father is a mansion. My father is a mansion. My father is made of myths, each vaulted ceiling more elaborate than the last. My father is a trophy in a clan of empty frames, fork in the most violent of rivers. He is a detective, a therapist, sax player, water walker, a nobody, weaver whose mouth spills stories like moths. He is legend. He is both arms flown into the sky of a bomb blast, storm of 1,000 swallowed keys. Candle in a cave without an entrance. His wine glass sloshes into his lap at red lights. He is empty groove in a mattress, racket of hardback Dickens through drywall. He helps people fish inside themselves for the right lies. He is other women's name and locked cabinets, one eye cast over his shoulder for shrapnel. He is vomit on the bedroom carpet of my home. He is scholar of bomb blasts, both arms around me made of myths and keys and red lights and other women. He is a pile of snip strings and snot in a rehab waiting room. He is a hardback water walker, a fishing tail, an elaborate entrance. Thank you, y'all. I'm really, really delighted and excited and honored to be here and to be reading all of these poems from this brand new book. Thank you to all of y'all. Thank you to Jared. Thank you to George. Thank you to the Button team that continues to churn. This book is about two stories, really. It's about my sort of coming into queerhood and my father's descent into addiction, and those parallel stories sort of traveling alongside each other in the various costumes and hiding postures that both he and I inhabit on those journeys. And this is the title poem of the book. Willie Boy. Finally, the poem I will not write. I am in 5th grade wrestling in a brush pile of dead leaves with a now dead friend. We paw the hardening knots in each other's gym shorts, laugh and writhe until the leaf pile is no longer a pile but a kicked-in hive of tiny heaving lungs. Soft stink of new sweat and rotting wood. We're a dissertation later and 6 girlfriends past that. I wake up in a tougher city with new friends who remind me of my father. I look at men with chiseled jaws on loud trains in new ways, or rather old ways, but with less at stake. I wonder if they ever hovered their gaze over me for an instant too long too. If the flex tricep peeking from beneath my own black t-shirt makes them dance their eyes into pretend reading material too. I freeze snapshots of beautiful strangers, pin them in the high-ceilinged hallways inside me near the faces of everyone who knows me by a different name and a different town and a different version of my father, none of which are the Christmas he got loaded and started yelling about how gay people give him the willies. Rooted in Willy Boy or Sissy, a name I've tried fighting and drinking and fucking away since 6th grade. A badge I've buried amidst brass edges and ball fields and rap songs, still from beneath this goose down of a bearded new man's soft snore into my shoulder's right teacup. Hairy thigh laid heavy across my lap, I peck the first lines of a poem I will not finish. Another Willie, a sissy. It raises its hand, draws a blank, curls its fist, slinks into the night. So I'm going to read a bunch of short ones in a row, and the title of each one is the first line. Let's get one thing halfway straight. I have spent my entire life trying on costumes because no one told me I couldn't, and the stakes were never that high, which I have come to think is mostly what makes a white writer a white writer. The last time anyone referred to me by that name was exactly never, but that there is also the point. I am a queer poet, child of an addict, masquerading white boy. My best friend died and it was sad, and these are the stories I water into bloom. Camp counselor, test sheet, choir boy, cipher rapper, scratch golfer, honor roll, pothead, point guard. And Whitman says, very well, you contain multitudes. But Whitman was a white writer too. And the not so funny thing about spending a life proving you aren't something is that any story that isn't the story is just survival, or more like a brick for laying until the wall is high enough that you are safe inside and you wake up and you say, whoops, whose house is this? Who did I hurt to get here? And is it too late to ask for help? It's tricky, so stay with me. I crushed on the girls who dated the boys I crushed on, which I understand seems inefficient, but really it did the job. Some knowing laughter. I loved Jeff, or at least from my desk behind him in third period, I liked imagining my palm slapped around the buzzed cowlick on his neck, and Jeff asked Tasha to a dance, which I knew meant that if Tasha and I should hook up, it really isn't that complicated if you think about it. I loved Evan, or at least the way pool water clung to his trunks and his thigh hairs when he climbed out of the chlorine, and he got head from Michelle Cantor that summer behind the equipment shed, so I gave her my virginity. We thrashed around in the dead darkness of a linen closet. Our bones clacked against the wood floor until there wasn't much else to say. Joey from Dawson's Creek was my beard. Which, if you don't know, means she was my prom date, my monster truck, my main squeeze, rumor swatter. All I had to do was leave my locker ajar for her scotch-taped image to yell to all of B Hall that there was nothing to see here after all. Just Joey at the end of a dock, Joey in a field of daisies, Joey in Bobby makeup ads and stepping onto a red carpet. Now, obviously, this is the gayest thing ever, but let me get to the point. Joey wasn't real, except that she taught me how simple it was to hide in a look and a laugh, or to hold hands at the back of a bus and kiss in the smoky basements of parties and on the hoods of cars in stadium parking lots, or for how to say faggot and how to avoid the boys whose air I could feel come off them and toward me when they walked. Another way of saying this is, God, I am just so sorry, because there were so many. And I didn't even watch the show. So I'm going to read two more pieces. And I am in the process of bidding farewell to a grandmother which, happens when we live 94 years on this earth, and it's by a good grace that we get the chance to do that. This is written a while ago, and she was sort of like in it, sort of not in it, some days there, some days not there. And one day she called me Barack Obama, which, I don't know, if your politics are anything like mine and someone happens to call you Barack Obama and they actually think that you are Barack Obama, you might roll with that for a second, right? So this poem is called My Grandma Calls Me Barack, which is a title I really dug deep for. She asks me by her bedside how I'm enjoying the White House, how that pretty Michelle is doing, and if I have been able to get any sleep. She says she is ready to go home. Just unplug the spaghetti. Smells the meds in her milkshake from a mile away. No goody-goo for me. No moxes for this foxes. No Trixon for this Nixon. I tell her the White House is nice, but it is a lot of responsibility. I'm going completely gray, as you have probably seen. She clicks her molars softly to mirror the patter of rain outside. Her eyes a glazy gristle jumping from TV, window, ceiling, all those rooms. She sighs, you must get lost. And I tell her that I do. It's hard to remember who I am sometimes. This healthcare business, the whole gay marriage thing, these men on magazine covers diving into one another, and her eyes stop skimming the room. And they settle on the bottom of the 8th inning in the corner, and she calls me Mark. She calls me Aaron. Skin slipping from both sides of a pointed finger like a wet dish rag draped over an oven handle. And she calls me nothing. Thank you all. So this will be the last piece. I'm really, really excited to get out of the way and listen to Jared, whose work I am deeply in love with and have been for many years. I write a lot about queer things and white things and the relativity between those two things. And my father has come to represent, in some ways, the backbone of this book, but has come to represent sort of like the irreconcilable thing in both of those narratives. This is the last piece in the book, and I've never read it out loud, but I'm going to do it here with y'all. It's called Get Well Soon from Riverside Church. Anybody from New York? Oh, I love y'all, the two of you. Riverside Church is in Morningside Heights. It has been 15 years since I last walked into a church and meant it, sat beneath the gaze of stone saints and prayed for anything other than a new pair of basketball sneakers. But I am here now on my father's birthday, huddled in the last pew with one leg toward the corner like someone might catch me, rattle an icy finger in my direction and remember my name from another life. I, the traitor. I, the walkaway. But where else to take all these questions of fathers, sons, ghosts that have haunted the holy from both of you? He, 8 states away, speeding to and from his own trial with a whiskey glass muzzled in his lap and a family shrinking in the rear view. And I here on a cold day in December, driftwood in this sacred stale cave, wishing I were still in the bed of the man I woke in and courageous enough to tell my father his name. And this, the great American dad story, this everyone aches to become their father until they grow up and become them story. Until it is we who are hunched over toilet seats, vomit draped from the mouth like a silk scarf. We who keep silent about the stories we know will save our ticking lives, bury secrets like animal bones until they gulp us whole. We who build and set ablaze our own homes, string together lies like bed sheets from which to repel, but lest this unravel into another poem where author pleads genetics. Please, damn it, if it weren't for this booze and all this silence, because after all, I am here, yes, stealing a moment to hold him up, scared to admit that I might still believe in miracles, the raising of our dead, the turning of water into, you get it. that I need to believe he can jump back into the saddle. So stay with us a while. Happy birthday, Dad. Please get well. Please do not stop moving. His name is Sean. He would love to meet you. We talk about you all the time. Thank you, y'all.